All right. Hey, everybody. It is 0830, and we are live on prostate cancer, the road to recovery. Throw up my little banner here. Yeah, cancer sucks. So we've been live. What was I going to do? So I've got a special guest today. Surprise. I brought with me Adam from Anything is Possible. So let's bring him onto the stage here and say hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. How about you?
Well, according to my last scan, I'm doing metastic.
I was not prepared for that.
Yeah, the beauty of live streaming.
That's awesome. So everything I talked about in our prep didn't happen, right? The countdown and the intro, and I got all this new whatever. Doesn't matter. The video's working, and I'm happy about that.
That's
So
good.
your video looks good. My video's looking okay.
Yeah, yours
Yeah,
looking good. Yeah, I think
awesome.
you're. I think you got that the higher quality video that we were talking about. It's finally coming through.
Finally,
Yes,
finally. Well, let's roll the intro real quick, and then we'll get on with the show.
let's do it.
All right.
Welcome to Prostate Cancer, the road to recovery with Jason Stone, a stage 4 fighter. This podcast brings you support and insights from survivors, fighters, and medical experts. Join us for an educational and inspiring journey.
All right. So, welcome, Adam. I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the live stream. I'm behind on my banners already. For everybody that's watching, if you're watching live, this is a thing we're supposed to say. Type in the comments where you're from, and I'll be able to see the comments here shortly. And then we got our surprise guest, and yay!
You.
Our, so we got a couple of different segments today. We're going to talk about lifestyle focus. We're going to talk about spotlight on mental health. We're going to do a Q&A segment, and then we're going to do some community stories where we go through the comments and address things people have said and asked. And that's our plan for today. So let's bring up the comments here. Show. This is an example. Oh, I guess I don't need to show that. So when I click that, that's when the comments will show up. So when people start putting comments on, all 4 people watching. I think you and I are probably 2 of those 4.
We probably are. Hey, it's all good.
It works, right? Somehow.
It does.
So
Well,
our
I think it's
first,
recorded, so it's good for posterity.
yes, yes. All right. So our first segment, we're going to talk about lifestyle. We want to talk about how we manage how we live with prostate cancer, our diet, exercise, stress management, because that's huge. We talk about stress is an instigator of inflammation, and inflammation has a role on our ability to fight cancer. Now, you've looked into that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I mean you're exactly right. We've talked about the importance of lifestyle and lifestyle changes before, and one of the things that I found out early on in my journey was just the lymphatic system specifically, because as we know, when you get prostate cancer, if it breaks out of the prostate, one of the first places it likes to go is the lymphatic system, and the lymphatic system. It's that inflammation, the lymph nodes themselves, they will get inflamed. That's how they show up on scans. That's how they show up
Yeah.
when they're cancerous. And some inflammation is good, but chronic inflammation, sets the stage for a cancer-friendly environment, basically.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
And that inflammation comes both from diet. So if you're eating a lot of inflammatory
Yeah,
foods, is that the right word?
I think it is.
And so what some of the types of foods I've started trying to cut back on are a lot of processed carbs. Processed carbs can be inflammatory. I've tried cutting back on. I haven't drinking. Oh my goodness, I haven't drank soda pop in a long time. Like in the last maybe 3 years, ever since COVID hit. 4 years. 4 years now. Wow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was fun. Yeah.
I may have drank drinking. I keep saying
Drinking, drunk. I mean, I haven't been drunk in a long time either, but
yeah, maybe 4 sodas total. And that's it.
yeah, I like the carbonation, so I will drink the bubblies that don't have any added sugar, but just to get that carbonation taste. But yeah, you hit on a couple there. Obviously, the processed sugar is big. I try to do. I have been gluten free because gluten itself, causes a lot of inflammation in the body too. And I think I mentioned it before, but I'm mostly on a plant based diet now since diagnosis, plant based and gluten free. I have, per doctor's orders, I'll eat red meat, lean red meat once a month, but the times that and when I eat it, I don't feel anything different. I really don't. It's not like it's, oh, hey,
Yeah.
I'm eating red meat again or whatever. It's that I've been missing it, but it's the gluten. It's every once in a while I'll have like a piece of avocado toast, and the place I'm having it doesn't have gluten-free bread, so I'll have it on some wheat bread or something. And it's the gluten. When I have gluten again after not having it, that's the one thing I can tell. I feel bloated.
Yeah.
I feel sluggish, but for whatever reason, it's that gluten that really messes with, for me, and everybody's different. But
Everybody's
for me,
different.
yeah, that's what really, I think, inflames my system.
I did one of those 23andMe genetic, hereditary. You get to see your genealogy, and I did the health version. And so I have it shows up that there's a marker that I may have some gluten sensitivity, but I'm not
Okay.
fully gluten intolerant. But I do notice it. And I don't feel bloated. I don't feel, outwardly very unwell when I
Yeah.
have gluten, when I have gluten bread. What changes for me is my skin gets itchy.
Oh,
I get just overall itchy if I eat regular bread. So,
yeah.
and I haven't totally cut gluten out. I am still the bread that I like is Famous Dave's Killer Bread, or Killer Famous Dave's.
It's famous. Yeah, I know what you're talking about because my boys eat that.
Yeah,
So we do have that in the house. I have not tried it, obviously, but yeah.
yeah.
That's what my boys eat.
If you have to have a gluten bread, it's it's a really really nicely done bread. So
Now, I very well may try it because I will tell you, there's nothing, there's few things better than the smell of fresh baked bread. And so, that is not lost on me. Especially, we just got done. Mardi Gras was last week, and the king cakes, and just the smell of king cakes and all. That's like the double whammy of the processed sugar and
yeah,
the baked bread, and it's probably the roughest that I think it's been since my diagnosis. Almost a year ago.
oh wow,
So, yeah,
gosh, it's been a year.
almost. Yeah.
Yeah, I was almost on the same timeline. It was about this time I knew I had an appointment coming up the first week of March, or so, first or second week of March, and that's where we discovered my. I'd already done my lab work. Like this week a year ago, I was doing my lab work, and then my doctor's appointment was a couple weeks later, and yeah, weird. So we're getting
Well,
a
that's
couple. Go
do
ahead.
what? I was going to say that was, that's getting good for you because, with the androgen deprivation therapy, that's when they really start taking a look at holidays, is somewhere between that 1 year to 2 year period. If they've gotten your PSA down to undetectable, that's when the docs really start looking at, hey, let's go ahead and take you off a little bit and kind of see what happens.
I was talking to one of my kids, messaging with one of my kids about that. I am expecting right now, assuming my numbers stay as good as they have been, I'm expecting a holiday after 1 year, which will be, I popped my first Zytiga pills on August 11th last year.
Oh,
So I'm hoping that August 10th is the last day. So I've got kind of a celebration trip planned, assuming that they're going to stop me on, yeah. So I'm
well,
going
you've
to
got
do.
to, yeah, you've got to post that, and especially, what I'll be looking for from you on that is, hey, how does it feel when that testosterone starts coming back? Because I've heard and I've read just other testimonials where it's just amazing when you start getting that testosterone back in your system.
Yeah, but when it comes back is a different story for everybody. For some
Yeah.
men, the longer you're on this, the less likely it is to, or the harder it is to come back and the longer it takes. For some men, if you're on this for 3 or 4 years, if you're on ADT, some guys even 5 years before they take a break, the testosterone won't come back to the original levels.
Yeah.
You've killed off parts of the body that that are able to reproduce it back to those original levels. Your body's not programmed anymore. It's basically been deprogrammed a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's the atrophy. It's that old saying, if
Yeah.
don't use it, you lose it. And that's very much how it is here. I'd say, and it's two things too that I would point out with what you're saying is what I've read is, your lifestyle habits also play into that as far as how fast or if the testosterone comes back, as well as your age plays into it as well. I mean, you and I are on the young side for having the advanced prostate cancer that we have. So we have a better chance, but the older you get, the harder it is to get that back. Of course, there are things doctors do. You can be a candidate for testosterone shots to kind of help your system remember how to produce the testosterone. And then, like we were talking about here, your lifestyle. If your body has less to deal with, like, if your liver has not been working as hard or your lymphatic system hasn't been working as hard trying to cleanse your system as much, then you've got a better shot of having those systems restored.
Yeah, you got to be good to your liver, you got to be good to your kidneys, and you got to exercise. The exercise cues your body to rebuild and stay healthy, right? And then you got to, if you, some doctors are mixed. Can you drink while you're doing this? Well, yeah, you can. You can do lots of stuff, but should you? And that has some mixed answers. The red wine. So my doctor says you can drink maybe a glass of red wine or not, once a night, a glass a night, and that's probably okay. In fact, it may be beneficial, but they don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But it's why challenge your liver? Because your liver is a key part of rebuilding. So we got a question here. Is it Lupron or Casodex that makes me eat like I never have? I don't know that it's either of those. I know for me, I'm on Zytiga, and when I take Zytiga, I have to take prednisone. One of prednisone, so it's a steroid, a cortisone. Man, words for me are hard now. It's that steroid that makes me hungry. Yeah, and I'm staving off the weight gain by using some intermittent fasting. What I found is when I go to sleep, I go to sleep hungry. I wake up not hungry, even after a whole night of sleeping and fasting.
Yeah.
And when I wake up, what I try and do is I do my Zytiga pills, and then about an hour and a half later, I take my prednisone and my I do prochlorperazine, which I haven't seen a lot talked about that. That's an anti-nausea pill.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that prednisone is bitter. Very much so. But I take that, but I'm taking that on an empty stomach. And the reason you're not supposed to take prednisone on an empty stomach because it may cause nausea, but the prochlorperazine is an anti-nausea.
Yeah.
And because as soon as I wait as long as I can to eat, because as soon as I eat, I'm hungrier when I'm done eating than when I started.
See, that's odd, because I was going to say the same thing that you're saying too. Obviously, I'm not on the Casodex, but on the Lupron, and I found initially for me, I lost weight, and I'm not on as many of the medications. I'm just doing the Erlita, and then the Degarelix or the Firmagon, or then the Eligard and the Lupron, and then of course I switched my diet from just an omnivore diet to the plant-based, and I lost a lot of weight. I'm eating less now, especially with it being plant-based, but I have gained same thing in the last um, since probably about the fifth round of chemo. I have gained about 10 pounds and I can't get it off. And I don't
Really?
yeah, and I don't know what it is because I even cut back, because I pack my lunch for work every day. And so I eat basically the same thing every day and it's all plant based. So they might have volume, but it's a lot of roughage, it's a lot of vegetables.
Well,
Um, but
maybe this is a good sign. Maybe this is a good thing because when you were going through chemo, you couldn't work out as much and there was some atrophy,
yeah,
some muscle loss.
yeah,
And you've started hitting the weights again harder since then, right?
yeah, yeah.
Maybe this is muscle gain.
Oh, I would like that. That
Wouldn't
would
that
be
be
nice.
nice?
Yeah.
I was showing you on our practice run early this morning. It doesn't do any good to show anybody my forearms. You don't know how big my forearms were before,
Used to be, yeah.
right? But these are chicken arms now compared to what I had.
Well, I remember you talking about you having the
Yeah,
grip.
the gripper thing.
Yeah, and you can barely close them now.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
back. I'm back up to. So I used to do the 200-pounder 5 times.
Yeah.
I could touch the bottom of it 5 times on the 200-pounder. I'm back up to doing the 100-pounder 3 or 4 times. So because I degraded where I couldn't barely even touch the 100-pounder, but I'm working on it. I'm doing the dumbbell workout. In fact, let's try a little screen share here. Let's. I don't know if you finished answering that question or not. All right, screen shares. I'm not smooth like all these other. Let's see.
One of the other
YouTube.
casters.
Yeah. Chrome tab.
Can you get some action shots?
Here we go. So,
yeah.
Oh, hey, look, it's got your streaming thing. Yeah. So under what I've saved under my watch later, oh, you get to see all the stuff. Stoic one-liners, first video. I've been back into rocketry. Well, you get a lot of insight into somebody. I saved this shred your body with this 10-minute dumbbell high-intensity workout at home, no repeats. This has been fantastic for me. This Home Bodies with Alex. He doesn't have a lot of subscribers yet, so if you need something to work out with, please like his channel, like his video, subscribe to his channel. He did a custom workout. I said, hey, here's my situation. Here's my, what I have, because all I have are a couple of dumbbells. And what can I do? Here's my goals. And so this is amazing. So this is what I do every day now. And I don't get through the whole video. and you try and do this video and you're like, what? Really? There's what's the one in there? Like the Russian something or other exercise is about where I tap out.
Like they have the Russian twists, and then they got the Russian dumbbell swings, and there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know how to stop my share.
I think that's a challenge too with a lot of us that, it's important, especially with prostate cancer, that we stay physically active. And that's something that, especially when you're diagnosed like I was, where you'll get contradictory information on, like I had doctor friends telling me, take it easy, don't do anything, just especially if it's spread to your bones. And of course, now, if it is spread to your bones a lot and significantly, and you're at really, you have 5 or 8 mets in your bones that have been there, then sure, there's some concern and some precautions that need to be made. But like in my case, and like in your case, where we only had 1 or 2 mets and they weren't very big on our bones, then you need to take that opportunity, especially if you're going to go to androgen deprivation therapy, to be doing some resistance training, even if it's just push-ups, air squats, leg raises, something like that. And so, thankfully, you and I, we've got some gear to do it. I've got dumbbells, I've got medicine balls, things like that. Some people don't. And so it's important, it doesn't matter even if you don't, body weight exercises are just as effective.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And there's a lot of great, in fact, that Home Bodies with Alex, he has a lot of good videos. Your hair's coming back in.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on.
It is.
Good deal.
Yeah, it's if I as an aside, real quick, I've
Yeah.
noticed because one of my coworkers noticed that I was getting some stuff growing in here. It's like, hey, your hair's back. It's like, yeah. With chemo, when I was on chemo, I was having to shave every Saturday. Now the hair, I've only been off chemo now for what 3, 4 weeks,
Yeah.
but the hair is now coming back on Wednesdays, and so I'm shaving on Wednesdays and on on Saturdays. So
Well, congrats.
thanks. No, it's good. The eyebrows are slowly coming in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like it's funny if you go back and you look at the like my first video that I did. I mean, it's sad and amazing and I guess encouraging, but I look about 20 years younger than than I did in that first video than I do now. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Very much so. And the on the Home Bodies with Alex, he does have a body weight whole routine.
Oh,
So
great.
if you don't have dumbbells, he's got another short 10-minute or so 10-15 minute body weight only exercise routine that you can just follow along with and do, and it's awesome. I started doing that one a couple of times before I reached out to him and said, "Hey, this is my situation. Can you do something specifically for this? Because I got these dumbbells, but I
Yeah.
don't see anything in your channel that hits what I want." And he was good enough to put something together. So
That's awesome, especially if he's responsive like that.
yeah,
Yeah. I'll say one last thing on the weightlifting stuff was, that was one of the things that my doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering had said when I went for the second opinion is, listen, you're not going to feel like doing it, but one of the most important things you have to do, and you have to make yourself, or get a loved one to force you to do it, is you've got to stay active. If you're on chemo, you've really got to stay active because it gets the chemo out of your system faster
yeah,
and it helps your system. And then, of course, us being on androgen deprivation therapy, it helps your bones, it helps your muscles, and it helps your whole system, maintain as much as possible.
yeah. I got mixed information at first on the bones because I've got that one on my spine is 2 centimeters or 2 centimeters by 3 centimeters. It's a 2 centimeter by 3 centimeter tumor. I don't know how deep it is in there, but what I was told was that as we kill off that tumor with radiation and treat it and shrink it up with the ADT, the hormone deprivation,
Yep.
that is going to weaken that vertebrae, and I'm eventually going to get stress fractures, and it's eventually going to fail. And I was like, so I have to be really careful with I'm like, holy crap. So I was scared at first, but then I talked to, and a month later, you get another follow up. It's a different doctor.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, you have to work out. You have to put a little bit of stress on there because weight bearing exercises is how the bones know to grow stronger.
Yes.
And I was like, I feel the frustration everybody feels when you talk to different doctors and you get different information.
That's why you've got to be your own advocate. You have to be comfortable with what you choose to do, because at the end of the day, you can't be, at the end of the day saying, hey, I wish I would have done this, or, the doc said this and I didn't feel comfortable with it, but I did it anyway. You have to be your own advocate.
Yep.
And question for you too. Did they not talk to you about starting a series of Xgeva shots?
No.
So the Xgeva is an osteoporosis shot. It basically blocks the signals of I'm going to mispronounce it, like they're osteoclasts or something.
Yeah.
Which breaks down the bone, so your bones stay stronger. Now, too much Xgeva is bad, but it's one of the things they put me on it, but just something to think about for it.
So what my bone density scan coming into this, they had to do one to assess where my bone density was, right?
Yeah.
And it came back really good for someone my age. In fact, it came back as somebody in their late 20s, early 30s. So,
Good.
so I started off in a good spot. So maybe, and then my numbers all look good. My calcium numbers, because they track your calcium. As that number starts trending up, non-intuitively, as it starts trending up, it's getting worse. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, I've seen the comment from Chuck there about the
Yeah.
radiation. You said you had undergone radiation treatments as well.
Yeah.
How many did you do?
I did 28.
Oh, wow.
So 28 is a pretty, well, I did 28 to my prostate and I did 5 to my spine. So
Okay.
33 total, but 28 to my prostate. So congratulations, Chuck, finishing
Yeah,
those
man.
up.
Do you mind, what were some of the side effects that if you don't mind talking about some of this? And I ask because obviously I'm having
You're going to be facing that.
well, potentially. So my PSMA PET, my second PSMA PET is scheduled for Tuesday.
Oh, good.
And so that's going to tell me a lot, obviously. And based on that is going to determine my next steps, which obviously radiation, like you and I have talked about, is one of them. But I've been trying to do more research and I'm curious as to, kind of what your thoughts were on the radiation.
Yeah, I got a couple of videos that talk about some of the side effects because of where they're radiating, and it does hit healthy tissue, right? Healthy tissue for your bowels, your rectum, your kidneys, your bladder, all of that gets affected. But because of the way they do the stereotactic radiation,
Mhm.
it's very concentrated on the prostate. So all this stuff, as the machine rotates around, all the other surrounding tissue gets a much lower dose total,
Okay.
and it's just dosing and dosing and dosing the prostate as the beam moves around you. But it does. So muscles don't work the way they're supposed to. So this is going to get gross. So like your sphincter muscles, and you
Uh-huh.
have sphincter muscles in your colon, your rectum, and in your bladder. So there's a sphincter muscle at the bottom of your bladder that holds your bladder full. When you're squeezing, you're like, I gotta go. That's what you're holding closed, and that weakens. And so you get some a little bit of incontinence. I experienced a little bit of incontinence. The One of the biggest reasons I took the 8 weeks off for FMLA to go to through treatment, radiation treatment. A lot of guys go to work every day, and I don't know how they do
Yeah.
it because I had some slippage. Is the best way to describe it, and the diarrhea because your bowels aren't working the way they're supposed to, so your body's not processing things, which I
Yeah.
think is part of the. I lost 30. Was it 30 pounds, 35
Hmm.
pounds, 30 pounds going through radiation treatment. Um, and my body, I had a lot of diarrhea. And so a little bit of incontinence, a lot of diarrhea. I didn't get any nausea till the very, very end, like the last couple weeks. And then mostly when they did the higher concentration 5 doses on the spine, that's where I started to feel I was like,
The
this
nausea.
is the nausea they were talking about. Because I wasn't even taking the prochlorperazine until I started
Spine.
the spine.
Yeah.
So
Did Go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Did you get a space ore?
I did. And
Okay.
oh man, there are people I see in the Facebook forums that say, hey, yeah, I decided not to do the space war. No, get
Yeah.
it. Holy smokes. Why would you not get that? So radiation, that Gary Brown video I did, he
Yeah.
talked about what radiation was like before space ore.
Yeah.
And your colon gets burned. You end up with colon cancer. You end up with
Rectal
incontinence
bleeding.
forever, rectal bleeding.
Yeah.
That tissue in your colon is so much more sensitive than the other tissue in your prostate tissue, for example. And it's more susceptible to damage. So get the space ore. That tiny little half a centimeter to 1 centimeter thick of hydrogel is
Yeah.
enough to prevent any issues.
Oh yeah, no,
And
definitely. I would definitely be looking to do this. If I do it, I'm definitely doing the space ore.
yeah.
I'm sure that my radiological oncologist offers it, but it's definitely something I'm going to be talking to them about.
I want to go back to a comment I missed addressing here. So I'm glad. Yeah, the melatonin, 3 milligrams. That's where I started off as well. And then melatonin tends to the effects of it tend to your body gets used to it sometimes. So if you need to, I am now up to 2 5 milligram pills, and the ones I buy are called dual action. So it releases melatonin twice a night because melatonin doesn't actually last very long in your system.
Right.
Something off the top of my head, it was something like 20 or 30 minutes. And so it's hopefully enough to get you over the edge. So if you don't lay down and go to sleep within that time frame that it's supposed to hit, and then you're screwed. Then it's not going to help you. So how you take melatonin is important as the fact that you take it. And I really like that dual action. I like I don't know the brand name. I don't have it here, but it's a 5 milligram dual action pills. And that I am sleeping. How long did I sleep last night? I slept. It's a weekend, so I was able to sleep in a little bit. I slept 9 hours and 7 minutes. And for guys going through this treatment that is on prednisone, that is almost unheard of. I know there's a couple other guys out there. Oh, shoot, just forgot his name. But there's a couple other guys out there that are struggling to getting 2 to 4 hours of sleep a night. And that prednisone is rough. So take the prednisone. You have to take it twice a day. I take it twice a day. So I move it up as early as possible. So I took it right before the video, right? And then that way I'm taking the evening one. I take it a little earlier than I'm supposed to. So I go longer on the night one, but it's close. I try and take it around 6 o'clock at night. And that way it's not impacting my sleep as much. And then I do the melatonin, and that really helps.
Well, melatonin also, there's been studies, and I can't remember if it was the Dr.
Oh,
Greger
yeah.
site, but melatonin, there are some reports that it helps with, the tumors, stopping tumor growth or impeding tumor growth. So you've got that double benefit of taking the melatonin as well.
Yeah. Yeah, very much. So I find that extremely helpful. And getting sleep is a huge part of stress management. It's a huge part of being able to deal with this, because if you're under rested, you're stressed, you're
It's almost like you go through each day with this stress, even if it isn't in the front of your mind, because just like anything else, over time, your first, at least for me, the first couple of months, it's the only thing I'm thinking about every day, all day. And then it just slowly goes to the back, but it's still there subconsciously. So yeah, the mental aspect of this and how you cope is very important.
Yep. So we got a question from GTR Genie. Did I do IMRT? There are so many acronyms with this stuff. I have a hard time keeping track of. So stereotactic is what I did, SBRT, but was it also IMRT? I know that they did a lot of. So what IMRT is it's they control it they shape it such that they're affecting the tumor, that not just the size of the tumor as a perfect sphere, but the shape of the tumor, right? So they can focus these the X-ray beams, the radiation beams, so that it's hitting it's more targeted. It's a more targeted type of radiation.
So are those both focal radiation? Because I've heard of focal radiation and the IMRT and the but is IMRT and the ones you did two different types of focal radiation?
I wish Gary Brown was here right now. So I don't know. So I know that they had images up in the back room, and they were using the machine, and it would send a range of dosage as it was rotating around. So I don't know. I don't know if I did IMRT or SBRT. So this is another thing I need to find out. I need to, another thing I got to go figure out. And I've got to follow up with my radiation oncologist here in a few weeks. So I write that down as a question.
The good thing about the radiation treatments, I know, is that you're not going to get cancer again in the prostate. If it's already escaped the prostate, you may get a recurrence of prostate cancer elsewhere, like in the bones or the lymph nodes. But if you get your prostate radiated, it's not coming back in the prostate. You're basically killing the prostate, I guess.
Yeah.
But
well, the healthy cells will heal.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what they call recurrence. So all healthy cells can eventually become malignant as they divide and stuff. So it's not necessarily killing it off for all future instances, because we can't predict the outcome of cell division over time, right?
Yes.
It's just less likely to occur for a longer period of time, as
Yeah.
long as we're maintaining a healthy lifestyle, doing the diet, the exercise, right? We can influence it significantly. I wish we could do that at the blackjack tables. Sorry.
Well, some people do.
Some people do.
Some people do. But yeah, but any place you do get the radiation, because you're right, because there's all kinds of things that go into it. Dosage. There's also, so like in my case, because I've got the cancer in both sides or both halves of the prostate. So if I'm going to get
Yeah.
radiation, I'm going to likely get radiation on the total prostate. So it may not kill all the cells in the prostate, but every place it does kill cells, there's not going to be cancer coming back in those
Yeah.
places.
Yep.
It could be coming
Agreed.
back elsewhere, but
Agreed. Yeah, we got a comment from Chuck Swift. Yeah, I'm glad the info. I'm getting information. I'm getting comments on the videos. I think, Adam, you are too, that this information is helping people. And we're not doctors,
No.
but we can share our experience and what we've learned in this whole thing that you're supposed to self-advocate for. So yeah, even if I did a walking video where I talked about one of my videos hit 1,000 views, and that hit me profoundly, because out of 1,000 people that watch it, one of them found out they had prostate cancer. Statistically,
Yeah.
found out they had prostate cancer because of some information from that video. And that's all I can ask for. That's getting people to know to check their PSA.
Or even educating people as to what the PSA is, because I know that, like, for example, and I'm right there with you. I had at least 3 or 4 of my buddies who watched my videos be educated about what a PSA was and ask their doctor to get the PSA check. So now they know what their baseline is. Thankfully, none of them had an elevated PSA, but that makes me feel like I'm accomplishing, what I've talked about before is one of my goals in life, which is to leave this world a better place than how I found it.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. And that's all. Just like, we were talking about, neither one of us are doctors, but, I find that podcasts by guys like us who are actually going through it, who are in the trenches, we provide a different perspective, because I find a lot of doctors are hamstrung by legalities is the wrong word, but kind of almost hamstrung by what the everybody's so it's a litigious
I
society.
understand what you're saying, because my radiation oncologist, when I went to see him in the office, I was like, hey, I've been looking this stuff up on mushrooms and on my diet, and should I take these supplements and this and that? And he's like, I can't officially recommend any of those in this environment. And then he pushed his book across to me. I read the book and I'm like, holy cow. So it's weird that we have rules on what they can and can't say. Yeah. And a lot of this is, not studied very well. And so sometimes it's correlative. But if there's indications that something works, well, again, I'm going to give it a try.
Well, what is harmful about eating healthier and exercising, right, and paying attention to your mental health? I don't. What's the worst that can come from all of that? I don't
right.
think it's going to be worse cancer.
Are you going to get cancer?
Right. Yeah, you already got that. But yeah, you're exactly right. So I mean, that's where it's up to guys like us, and not just guys like us, but everybody out there to bring it. And I saw the comment from Chuck about the exercise and the plant-based protein. I couldn't agree more. Switching the plant-based protein, I was worried because I used to do a whey protein drink every day. I drank whey protein, which has got dairy in it. And I was like, I don't know what this plant protein powder is going to taste like plant-based protein powder, and it was not bad. It
No.
really, and it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with my taste buds changing or anything. Um, you know, once I beat this, and if God willing, I get cured, I'll probably stick to the plant-based protein, and I'll probably stick to the plant-based diet. Because I do feel a lot better, on that diet. So.
That's same. I do this avocado toast. I do layer of hummus. I do some guacamole because the avocados are so amazing. And
I ate so many avocados.
yeah, I do. I
So
ended up
many.
buying the bags of frozen chunked up avocado because I wasn't, some days I go through the avocado enough and then sometimes I don't. And you got about a 30-minute window on an avocado.
I bought 3 trees. I bought 3
Oh,
trees, and I'm trying to grow them in the backyard, and I'm
that's
just praying that
awesome.
they grow. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. That's cool. And then I do some flaxseed on it. That's a big thing that my radiation oncologist book talked about heavily.
Yep.
Was he keeps bringing up flaxseed. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I get the hint. I get the hint. I'll
Yeah,
and flaxseed.
Yeah. I put flaxseed in everything.
Yeah. And then sprouts, I do broccoli sprouts on it. And then I do a couple slices, like 3 or 4 slices of Roma tomatoes and then black pepper. And then sometimes I sprinkle a little turmeric on there. But that's
Turmeric's another
my,
one.
yeah, especially with black pepper. That's fantastic for, yeah. And it's the energy level. My energy level is better on the mornings that I remember to do that. Sometimes I get out the door or I'm at work and I'm not able to do that. And my energy, like Chuck says, right, it's difficult. This Lupron makes working very difficult. You're in a little better situation with that. You sort of work from home, or you have a business where you have
Well, I own the business, so I'm
nice.
able to do a lot of office work, but there is some field work associated with it as well. But I mean, I agree with Chuck. What I find helps, obviously, the diet, which we've been talking about. But like we were talking earlier, I wake up first thing in the morning, and I hit the treadmill, and I will do. And I don't feel like doing it every day,
Nope.
but I will say that at least 5 or 6 out of 7 days, thankfully, I've been able to get my butt up and do it, because I know that when I start my day off with a 30-minute, even if it's just brisk walking, and what I'll normally do is like, if you come out with a new video, that's when I watch your video. That's when I watch the other videos, like from the Prostate Cancer Research Institute, or if Dr. Geo comes out with something new.
Yep.
But I know that if I start my day out with just some cardio, it helps me tremendously throughout the day. And then I'll start to fade. And then I get home. When I get home in the afternoons, that's not every time. When I get home in the afternoons, I'll try to then do either a 20-minute yoga or a 20-minute, weight bearing exercise, or even 30-minute weight bearing. And then I'll find that I'm a little bit better. Yeah.
That is exactly the time I don't feel like doing anything.
Oh, I don't feel like doing it either. Trust me. That's why the morning, I get the morning done. Like I said, about I average 5 days out of 7, or 6 days out of 7 a week. The afternoon stuff, right now I'm averaging maybe 2 to 3 times a week, because you're right. I just don't. And let me tell you, at 8 o'clock, even like last night, Friday, I'm sitting there watching some TV with one of my boys, and I just hit a wall, and I'll hit a wall, and I'll start falling asleep watching TV, which I've never done before. And then I'll look, and it's only like 8:30 or 9 o'clock, and I just got to go to bed.
Yep.
But look, hitting the wall at 8 or 9, I can deal with. It's a lot better than hitting that wall, at 1 or 2 or something like that. I think what also helps me, unfortunately, is the stress of work and owning your own business and dealing with employees. That I'm usually a little bit too frustrated to.
It keeps you.
Yeah,
that keeps you wound up a little bit, which is counterproductive, but.
Yeah, but it's good too, and it sounds worse. I am blessed with a lot of really great guys. So I mean, they care about what's going on with me. So,
well, good.
And again, talking about this whole lifestyle thing, the community is a big part of it too, and because prostate cancer it's a family disease, community disease, however you want to talk about it or classify it, but it affects everybody. and having that support is critical for any man going through prostate cancer treatment.
Yep. I was going to back on, we were talking about the helping people and people finding out and checking their PSA. So I have a friend that got his PSA checked because of these videos, and he's like 44. He's not real super old yet.
Yeah.
And I was talking with him last night. He called me and we were chatting, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to say I went and got my PSA checked, and doctor said I'm good." I was like, "Oh, good.
Yeah.
What was the number?" And he's like, "Oh, it's in range." I was like, "Yeah, but what's the number?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, I think it's like 2.5." I said, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "You better go look your number up." So he looked his number up, and it's 2.5. I'm like, so this range doesn't, like, I had cancer at 1.59 when my PSA. So Dr. Gary Brown talked about in a comment that there's a bell curve, and get on the video here with my hand. There's a bell curve, and statistically, you have to have a pretty high PSA outside of that range of above 4 for it to have a chance of being cancer. But there's people that'll get cancer like me. I'm down here at this bottom curve where, my PSA was normally rock solid at 0.6, 0.7. And so when it hit 1.59, that was my elevated PSA. So I told him, "Hey, I don't want to scare you," but I gave him the history on mine. I said, "It's important to pay attention to the number and the trend." Now, he does ride bikes. What did he say on the phone? I was like, "You do ride bikes?" He goes, "Yeah, that's what my doctor asked me." And I said, "Well, what'd you tell him?" He said, does a one-legged duck swim in circles?" I don't know. That's funny. He rides bikes a lot. We used to ride bikes when we were working together out in Hawaii, and that can raise your PSA. Any trauma to that area down there can raise your PSA. So maybe it's normal. And that's why getting it checked, and then a month or two later, get it checked again, and then a month or two, get it checked again. And you need 3 points. Like when you're doing woodwork or figuring out where to put your launch lugs on your rocket, my new rocket kit.
Nice.
You check, you don't put 2 points and draw a line. You always do 3 points because you need 3 points for a trend. And so I told him to get it checked again in a month or two, then get it checked again in a month or two after that, and track the number. Now, if he's staying at around 2.5, then that's his number.
Yeah. But you're exactly right. Because, I've told you the story about back in 2018 or 2019 when I was just about to retire, and I had gone in to see the urologist for some urinary issues I was having, and they did a PSA. Now, if they did a very poor job of explaining the PSA to me, but I had a 2.5. And if you look at the Mayo Clinic for a guy at 40, over 40, 2.5 is elevated, and it's, something like you mentioned that you need to track. And so I don't even remember going in 3 months later for my second test, but in my second test was 2.8. So that again, was rising back then. And then of course I retired before they could do a third test like you were talking about, which may have prompted something to where I wouldn't be in the situation today. But, like you were saying too, I had, as we know, my PSA was 570 when it was diagnosed. And so obviously that is really high. But there are people that have it at lower PSAs, like you were talking about 10, where the Mets have spread to soft tissue or organs or bones. And so, worse situation than I had, where I had my lymph nodes all over my body had spread to, but just the 2 bone Mets, which I consider myself very lucky for. But everybody's different. So, I'm going to beat this thing with having a PSA of 570. And then unfortunately, people with a lot lower PSA when they were discovered, aren't as lucky. So it's the trends, and you got to track it.
And it's everything we're talking about. You got to do all the things right, and the positive mental attitude, you got to believe.
Yeah.
If your brain isn't wired that you are going to make it out of this, then you're not setting yourself up for success.
Well, you're right. You know, that's really important because, you know, I was thinking about it today after we were talking, and you know, if we're being honest, when I was diagnosed, um, you know, mentally. So when I was, again, it's 575, my urologist, he's great, but you know, the doctors don't want to give you false hope because they
Yeah.
don't want to be responsible for that because they've seen a lot of really bad stuff, really unfortunate things for other people, and so the news was not good for me. It was there's not a lot of positive. There was not a lot of
Yeah.
discussions about all the different treatments that are out there. You know, I didn't find out about. I didn't get the line about, hey, you don't want cancer, but if you have a cancer, you want prostate cancer, and this is the best time to have it. I didn't get that line until 2 months after diagnosis. You know, when I'd gone to Memorial Sloan Kettering and gotten a second opinion. But when I first gotten that diagnosis at the urologist, man, I thought it was it. I thought, you know, hey, I'll be dead in a year.
Right.
And, you know, I was thinking, hey, you know, do I just give up? Do I just, you know, I did tell you the last thing I felt like doing at that point was fighting. I
Yeah.
just felt it was a gut punch. It's a punch to the nose. When you get that punch to the nose, you know, all you feel like is that fight or flight. And you know, initially, I just wanted to flee. I just wanted to crawl up in a ball and say, okay, I just want to be with my family for the remainder because you feel like you're going to die tomorrow, and that's not the case. And
Yeah.
that's you know, and so that's why these videos that we do that's why these videos that other people do and the education that's out there through stuff like PCRI, through Dr. Greger, through you know Dr. Kwan, nutritionfacts.org. You know, once I started looking at that stuff, watching your videos and things like that, or like even like you know, just talking to for GTR Genie about you know the PSA and giving them hope, it
Yeah.
it helps to get the mind right. I didn't get my mind right until at least 3 weeks after diagnosis, when I finally had gotten enough information, educated myself, and kind of gotten some answers with the PSMA PET scan results, the colonoscopy, and the
Yeah.
endoscopy results. That I'm like, you know what? I have a I have a good chance of number one, I have a good chance of living a full life, still a long life with this disease. And number two, you know, hey, anything is possible and you know I can be cured.
Yep.
And so, yeah,
I my path into this diagnosis was a little bit different because I kept getting eased into it. I kept getting told, well, you're young. It's not going to be that bad. Your PSA is really low. It's not going to be bad. And it's, you know, and it, as we kept doing more diagnostic, uh, you know, more discovery, it's like, oh, well, there you got this met. And then it just kept getting worse and getting worse. And then finally, like I'd been to had just 6 doctor visits. And then finally all the pieces of the puzzle were put together. And I like, so I was eased into this thinking, okay, it's going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. How bad is this? Like, is this high risk? And my doctor finally rung my bell and he said, oh, you're beyond high risk. I was like, oh, and that's when I finally went, oh, but I was already maintaining a mindset of positivity. And so I didn't hit that real bad low like you described. So
yeah,
everybody's kind of getting there a little bit different. And some of these guys, let's I wonder if I can pull up an extra screen here.
yeah. While you're doing that, I was going to say, you know, for me, and I think a lot of guys in the beginning, there was a lot of, you know, I call them defeats, setbacks, you know, because first the scan tells me that I've got probable prostate cancer. And
Yep.
so, okay. And it's like, all right, well, you know, I had a close family member who had it and it wasn't that bad. So maybe it's not gonna be that bad. Then you have the biopsy and it's like, no, it's bad. And then, so that's another defeat. And then you have the PSMA PET and this, oh, it's spread. So, you know, so
Yeah.
that's another defeat. So you go through a lot of defeats or a lot of things like that before you can really start just, you know, okay, now this is like you said, solve the puzzle. This is what the puzzle looks like. This is what the picture is. Now I can start getting my mind right to start, coping with this thing or
Yeah.
battling this
And
thing.
don't let the PSA number scare you,
Yeah.
because Glenn doesn't have a channel that he runs on here, but he's a guy I did a video with, and he's still kicking. He's planning on his spring dart tournament championships, and his PSA was in the 900s.
Yeah.
Woody Ears had a PSA of 288, and he is still going. I don't know what Larry's was. I don't know what Allen's was. Spike 873. But guess what? He is maintaining one of the most positive perspectives out there. He's doing fantastic. He's working on this truck restoration that he's going to finish. And I love that the color of it is a light blue, which is
Prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer. Yeah.
For Awareness Month. And
yeah. But these guys out here that had really, really high PSAs, they're still doing fine, and they're still fighting. So don't let the numbers scare you at all. And staying positive is a huge part of all of that. When we talk a lot about diet, which is just a lead in to you have to have the base set to be able to think clearly, and because these drugs mess up our ability to think clearly, as
they do.
You can see from talking to me.
Now, you mentioned that about part of the mental aspect and such, and you mentioned, I forgot the gentleman's name who is restoring the truck, and it's so important that you find that there's a television show or series called Blue Zones where they explore all the people that live past 100. And the first one is the centenarians in Okinawa, and they talk about their ikigami or ikigai. I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sure, but it's that thing that drives you, that passion that helps you live, and you've got to get that. And you've got to, whether it's, your leatherworking or your rocketry, or even us doing the videos, something that is really making life worth living. It's not just family. Family is its own thing. It's very important. But this is something for you, something that you do, that you get joy from, that is, your, I hate to say reason for being, but, something that really drives you. Right.
You have to have the support base, which is where you're talking about the family, spiritual, whatever spiritual looks like for people. You have to have that there, but you also have to have a goal, and that goal could be, for me, it's been, I'm going to get another video done. I've started. I didn't have a plan when I did this. I had no plan. Like, am I going to do a video a week? I didn't sit down and come up with any of that. I just started doing videos, and they just happened to be roughly one every week ish. So I'm not committing to doing one a week. And then these lives, I've went 2 weeks. I did a live, so I might wait another 2 weeks and do another live. Oh, who knows? I'm not committing to anything, but I'm looking forward to whatever I do, and that gets me out of bed. It gets me motivated to get up, actually shower, and because I'm going to be on camera.
I shaved.
Oh, good. I didn't. I got. Yeah.
I can't wait till I don't have to. I'm gonna grow mine back.
My hair is starting to get a little thinner.
Huh.
I'm starting to get a little thinner on the hair. So I don't know if that's a treatment side effect, or I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
I lost track of what I was saying. Goals.
Yes.
Oh yeah. And so that's, I found that some of the things I enjoyed doing before, sometimes this sounds a lot like depression, and maybe it is sort of depression. Maybe you lose interest in things that you liked doing before. So for me, I tried forcing myself to get into building fishing poles again. And I struggle with being able to, my cognitive aptitude, being able to do that was a bit of a challenge. So I put that aside for a little while. And the leather work has been a challenge. So I put that aside. So now I'm not doing the things that I know released the endorphins that I gave me that sense of wellness and that goal that positive mental attitude. So I'm trying to pick up a couple, like I know I loved rockets. And so I'm picking, that's why I got a couple of kits, including this guy here. This is a LOC Precision, LOC 1.6. I don't know what it is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm saying numbers and words that don't matter to people.
I hope you videotape those, because like I said, I'm interested to see that thing get up to, what did you say, 6,000 feet?
Yeah, that could hit 6,000 feet. I'll have to get my level 1 cert before that, but to do a motor that'll take it there. But yeah, so having a goal, having something you look forward to is a huge part of our coping mechanism. Yeah. And that coping mechanism gets us through this, not just having a support network. So all these pieces go together, having a support network, having the diet, the lifestyle changes, having the, and then I think the last piece of this, you have to have the spiritual, the mental, and the last piece of the mental, I think, is that goal.
Yeah.
What gets you out of bed? Like you say, what's the reason for doing? I think rather than reason for living, I like, what's your reason for doing?
I think that's, reason for doing. I think that's great. Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we're up on an hour here now. We covered our lifestyle focus. We covered our mental health. We kind of incorporated our Q&A segment into this. Throughout this, addressed some comments. So I think this feels like a good place to start wrapping it up. What do you think?
No, I'm with you. I think, I think it's great. I appreciate you having me on. I like this. I like this format. I think we're kind of getting the word out there and trying to help people, and it looks like we are. And that's something that makes me happy.
Well, before we leave, there is something you had asked me earlier, like also we'll bring back up the Q&A segment here, is we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to spread awareness and make this better for people, so that they're not thanks, Rick. they're not necessarily going through this at the same level we are, right? We'd rather people catch this early.
Yeah.
And so there are things, this is not my first YouTube channel. So I have a couple others. I do lectures and learning for the college classes that I teach, and I do a one for my leather work. And on those is where I cut my teeth and learned how to do a podcast, how to do this. And so I'm just going to share with you some of the things I learned to help other people. So this is my YouTube channel. One thing I learned, I learned this when I did my anchored leatherworks, and I learned it again recently because I was like, you know what, I'm going to try maybe this promotions thing. If you go to the content, your videos and stuff, there's a promotions thing over here. Don't do it. Do it for everybody that out here. Don't do the promotions. What happens is you get great response during the promotion, but when the promotion's done, all your traffic is throttled. I thought that was maybe just a fluke on my Anchored Leatherworks channel, but I've did it here. I did when I hit about 450 subscribers, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try the promotion thing. Maybe that was just, maybe they say it doesn't matter, but it does. And so I did it on the promotions. And so I'm kind of stuck. Everything's kind of stagnated on my analytics. And I spent $100 and I did a promotion, and sure, it got me some subscribers. It got a lot of promotion impressions, but after that, don't do it.
Okay.
So, but for building your channel, if you're going to do something like this, there's 2 spots you have to go to, and to set this up. So under customization, do a short little 15, 30 second, welcome, intro, just a short little one. This is the trailer that shows up when people go view your video, and then pick a featured video. So, I was rotating this through whatever my last one was, but this one I wanted to get a little more traffic to. and it's an important one. So I've left it at that. But you can just change that video to whatever. So
Okay.
I'm going to change it to went for a walk like a madman along the river. So you can change the featured video.
Okay.
And then sections. So a YouTube channel has playlists and it has sections, and those are not the same thing.
Okay.
So on the home page, you want to have these featured sections, and you can add a section. So I start off, and this here moves them around.
Yep.
And so I start off with just my playlist for my podcast. So this is my Road to Recovery podcast. So I have 18 episodes on the podcast, and those are all right there, first ones. And then I have all my videos, because this is where me reading my story, the tumor, my walking videos, all that shows up. And then I have a section just for short videos. And then I have a section for a single playlist that just for the walking videos. So you just set up all these sections. I have a section for other prostate cancer videos.
Good.
I can save other people's videos to this section. So when people are on my channel, they can see these PCRI, Dr. Geo, all these other videos, because this is meant to be a resource. This is meant to be useful for people.
Yeah.
And then the created playlists. And then when you go to branding, you want a logo, but you also want a banner that you can change here.
Yeah, for the channel.
And then a video watermark. And I just use my logo, play it at the entire video in the bottom right. And that, when they're looking on their mobile device, that's a clickable logo to go to subscribe. So if they're watching a video, it's this little thing in the bottom right corner. And if they touch it, they can subscribe. So given opportunities for people to sign up for your channel is important. And then this is the basic stuff, a good description. And this is where your channel, this is where you start collecting keywords. You want to use words that people are searching for, that are tied to the topic. And there's no point in gaming it, right? The right people that are looking for this content will come to your channel.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about my Gleason score. I know I'm going to talk about, I want to use some couple of searchable technical terms, because people are going to search what is malignant adenocarcinoma. We use prostate cancer, all that, right?
Yeah.
And then that's just under the basic info. But then you go down to settings, and this is where you get a lot more. This is where I found a lot of traffic driven is from this extra information. So under channel, basic information, that it gives you 500 characters for keywords, and use that up. Use that keywords up. Comma separated values. You can have phrases as well as single words. You don't have to do prostate and health. If you do it as a phrase, somebody searches prostate health, then it returns that. So you want your basic info set up. This is the advanced settings. This is my defaults for when I'm uploading. This is not a channel where I'm specifically putting stuff out for kids. So click that. I don't have anything that throttles on comments or anything. So let's see. And then upload defaults. I don't have a title that automatically uploads, but I do have a generic description that uploads to all my full-size videos. Subscribe here. And the links, like link to that page I shared earlier, the prostate cancer TR. You just paste the full URL, and that will become a clickable link. And then I've tried doing this Amazon affiliate thing. I don't know. That's pretty much a failure. I've had, I made 90 cents. Woo.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you can set up, I have comments. I don't have any comment moderation. But that nothing else here. So those are the
Yeah.
basic settings. But if you
No,
do those, that helps get your cast a
searchable.
wider net,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah, it helps you more searchable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's similar to for the business. I do a lot more stuff on Instagram, and so I'm familiar with the key terms and the searchability and how that coordinates with click through rate and stuff for Google. So I just didn't know where it was in YouTube, and now I do. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we're doing we're doing really good on views. We're at 80,000 views so far, which is fantastic. That's a lot of awareness out there. And if you
Yeah.
figure one man out of every 1,000 is impacted by prostate cancer, that's 80 guys out there that have learned more about their prostate cancer or found out they had prostate cancer or went and got tested. So this is my goal right here. My goal is to spread the word to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. Get the word out. Check your PSA.
yeah,
Get ahead of this. The earlier it's detected, because the percentage of us men that will get it is so high. The earlier it is, the earlier you have to definitively be cured.
yeah. And don't I encourage every single person that has dealing with prostate cancer that's watching this, like, get a phone and start recording. I know you're doing that generally with your phone. I know that Spike, that was his name, Spike from Resto Mods. My brain is so fried. He's doing it with his phone. Don't let technology. I have this technology available to me because of I teach the college classes, and COVID hit, and they're like, you can't come teach at the campus anymore. I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? And Zoom sucked because suddenly everybody was using Zoom and the
No
bandwidth
bandwidth.
wasn't there.
Yep.
And so I was like, I have to start recording videos. And so I had to get a camera and then another camera. So I can't breathe it into. I got a camera now here that looks down for leather work, and I got a camera there, and I got my iPad here, and I got some technology set up. I got a microphone. I use a Vocaster too, but these are little additions. I've done it a little at a time, and you don't have to start off fancy.
Yeah.
Start off with audio. Use your phone. Start off with audio. If when you're ready to upgrade, get a good microphone, and don't spend $1 million, right? When people say a good microphone, they think $300 to $500. No, who can afford that anymore? So I sent my brother a link to a $50 microphone. This is a $75 microphone, and I will probably not upgrade it. Does just fine. It's got a nice radio. I don't sound exactly like this in person, but I don't sound like this either, right? I mean, it's not a huge change, but it helps.
Yeah.
So
I'll be looking forward to GTR Genie's channel here shortly too. So.
Yep. When you get it going, get a few videos up there, share it with us so I want to add it to my page and page of links and get the word out there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thank you, Adam, for being here, or Rick, whoever.
Yeah. No, my pleasure, Jason. I mean, and again, thank you very much, and thank you for for putting this on, for taking the time to do it. And because again, like we said it a million times already, but you can't say it enough. If we can affect one person out there, one man, to go out and get their PSA checked, and we've done our job, and we've gotten further to making this world a better place than when we found it. And for all those guys that are going through the same ordeal as we are, I just want them to remember, and I mean it. It's not just a catchphrase; it's true. Anything is possible.
Anything is. You just gotta believe. This is my Team Lasso mug.
Yeah, I love that. I love that show.
It's awesome.
All right, man.
All right. Awkward time to drink coffee, but okay. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Adam. And I will figure out how to sign off here. This stuff is I'm not proficient with any of this yet.
Learning on the fly.
Learning on the fly. All right. Take care.
All right, man.